Welcome to The Real with Joe Clark. Around here, history isn't just dates and names, it's stories. Stories whispered, forgotten, or buried for a reason. And today, we're bringing them back, just as they happened. So sit back, listen close, and let's step into the past. February 3rd, 1959. We all know the story. A plane goes down and 3 young stars are gone. But what often gets overlooked is who wasn't on that plane and what happened to the people left behind. In part one, we talked about Chantel, a woman who believed she had a spiritual connection to the late Ritchie Valens. But her story didn't stop with dreams or unexplained moments. It went further. It went into real lives, real people, and a series of connections that are simply hard to ignore. Every year, fans gather in Clear Lake, Iowa at the historic Surf Ballroom, the last place Ritchie Valens, Buddy Holly, and the Big Bopper J.P. Richardson ever performed. They call it the Winter Dance Party. Music plays, stories are shared, and for a few hours, it feels like 1959 never ended. Chantel attended these events in the late 1990s. She described the experience as almost surreal, like stepping into a moment that had never fully moved on. Inside the ballroom, people claimed to feel something, a presence. At times, others reported seeing a young man smiling, watching, but never speaking. Chantel's own mother believed she heard a voice that was calm, reassuring, saying that everything was okay. And out at the crash site, a quiet field just beyond town, visitors would walk through the snow to stand where it all ended. Chantel described those moments as heavy and emotional, like something still lingered there. Hi, friends. Joe Clark here. I hope you're enjoying today's podcast, and we'll get you right back to the story. But first, I want to invite you to visit my website, joeclarkonline.com, where you can find all of my books, as well as a lot of historical content. So be sure to check out the website, joeclarkonline.com. Now back to the story. But here's where the story takes a different turn, because not everyone from that tour died. One man, a drummer, walked away from it all, not by choice, but by circumstance. His name was Carl Bunch. Carl Bunch was part of that 1959 Winter Dance Party tour. He traveled with Buddy Holly. He knew Ritchie. In fact, by his own account, Ritchie had treated him better than most of the others on the tour. Ritchie was kind, respectful, and protective. But just days before the crash, Carl fell seriously ill. Frostbite. Hospitalized. He missed the final shows, and because of that, he missed the flight. For decades, Carl stayed mostly out of the spotlight, out of the music business, out of the conversation, until something unexpected happened. Years later, Chantel came across Carl's name online. She recognized it. She reached out and he answered. They began talking, sharing stories, and eventually they met in person. But it didn't stop there. Chantel helped bring Carl into contact with Ritchie Valens' family, something that had never happened before. Despite everything, he had never met Ritchie's family. That meeting changed something. Carl shared memories, stories about Ritchie, stories about the tour, and about who Ritchie really was as a person. And for the family, it filled in pieces that had been missing for decades. But maybe the most powerful moment came later, when Carl returned to the Surf Ballroom, the place that he was supposed to be in 1959, the show he never got to play. He stood there, not as a survivor hiding from the past, but as someone facing it, playing music, remembering his friends, and in his own words, celebrating their lives. Now, here's the question. Was this just coincidence? A fan connecting dots, bringing people together? Or was something more at work? Chantel believed that her connection to Ritchie wasn't just about seeing or feeling him. It was about helping, about healing, about finishing something that had been left undone. We may never know the answer, but stories like this, they sit right on the line between coincidence and something that we don't fully understand. Because sometimes the ones who leave us behind don't leave everything behind with them. And maybe, just maybe, some connections are strong enough to reach across time. Join us next time as we conclude our series on the late great Ritchie Valens. Until then, this has been The Real with Joe Clark. You've been listening to The Real with Joe Clark, where the stories are real and the past is never as far away as it seems. Until next time, keep listening, keep remembering, because history always leaves something behind.